Alright, welcome back everybody. This is our first lesson during the break, during the quarantine. So I figured we would start nice and easy. We're going to be calculating molecular mass. I know that a lot of us were kind of still a little bit iffy when we went on to break about calculating molecular mass, so I figured this is a nice place to start. Nice place to start building confidence, making sure everyone can access the videos and the software and all that kind of stuff, okay? So what you're going to need is your periodic table, and you are going to need your calculator for bigger type of calculations. Now remember, this is all leading up to our study of stoichiometry, which we were doing before we went on to break. Okay, so that's really the goal here, is to better understand stoichiometry and better do those problems. So we're going to do 4 examples here. Example number 1. So we're just going to be looking at, okay, so how do we know what the mass of an element is? Well, if we want to know what the mass of any element is, if it's carbon, for example, all we have to do is look it up in our periodic table. Now, if you look at your periodic table, there's a couple really important numbers. Carbon is the number 6 element. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon. But then it also has a 12 point something down here. This 12 point something number, that is going to be the mass. So this is your element, and this is the mass of that element. Okay? And so since it says it is 12, right, we're just going to round that to the nearest whole number for right now, just to make things a little bit easier. So the mass is 12 for this one. Okay? Now, if we're going to look at example number 2. Okay? Example number 2, if we have something a little bit more complicated, still C, we have H4. Right? So now we have a subscript and we have this H in addition to the C. So remember that carbon has a mass of 12, right? If we look up hydrogen on the periodic table, that's going to give us a 1. Now, it's 1 times 4, right? Because there's 4 of these H's. There's not 1 of them, there's 4. So it's going to be 1 times 4, which is actually 4. Right? Then, in order to get our actual answer, we need to add these two together, right? 12 plus 4. So 12 plus 4, that's going to give us 16 is our mass for that one. Let's go to example number 3. Okay, example number 3. Now we're going to be incorporating some coefficients. So here's 3 CH4. So 3CH4, it's the same type of setup, right? We just want to do all of this first before we do the coefficients, right? Because the coefficients should go last. So if we have C is still 12, H is still 1, but again, we have 4 of them, plus 4, right? We do all of this first, right? Ignore the 3. We don't want to pay attention to 3 yet. So 16 plus 4, that's going to give us 16. Again, just like this other one, right? Then we're going to take this 3 and we're going to multiply it, right? So 16 times 3, 16 times 3, that should give us 48, if you plug that into your calculator. Okay. So again, really quickly reviewing, right? We find the mass from the periodic table. In order to get more complex things like this, we're going to add up the masses of all of the elements, including the subscripts. Subscripts multiply this element that's right next to it. And then if we have coefficients, we multiply by the coefficient last, right? We add up all of these, multiply by the subscripts, multiply by the coefficient last. The last problem is going to be example number 4. This one's going to be 5H2O2. Okay, so what we're going to do here, each one of these has a subscript, so each one of them will be multiplied by 2. Again, ignoring the coefficient for the time being. If we look up oxygen, it's 16, mass is 16 on the periodic table. If we look up this one, hydrogen, it's 1. Right? We're going to multiply each of these by 2. Right? And then add them together. So we have 1 times 2 is 2, plus 16 times 2. So if you want to work that out over here, right, or you just want to write them down, 1 times 2 is 2. 16 times 2 is 32. We add those up, we get 64. Then introduce the 5, right? So multiply everything by 5. Plug that into your calculator and you're going to get 170. Okay, so I hope this was super clear. If it wasn't, please let me know. After you're done watching this video, any questions you have, please type them into the comments. Complete the practice work that goes along with this. It's in the same post that this video is in. And then please complete the Google form. It's nice and short, and that'll just help me keep track of who's keeping up with the material. Okay? I hope you guys have a fantastical, magical Wednesday, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.